Okay, now let's add attack and release sliders to connect to our envelopes. I'm going to right click and select Add New Slider. And again, because I did it over here in the interface designer, it's not actually within the panel, so let's just drag that in there. And I'm going to change the name of this and call it KNB because it's a knob attack. Now I use the KNB convention even if it's going to behave like a slider because we use the same control for knobs and sliders, but if you wanted to make some distinction there, you could call it SLI attack for a slider instead of KNB, but that's up to you. One method isn't better than the other. Okay, I'm going to change the width of this to 20 and the height to, let's try 100. And we'll put it over here somewhere. We're going to scroll down and we're going to change the style to vertical. So now we get a vertical slider. These three dots here are because of the text box property, so I can actually type values in here. I want to turn that off, so making sure this is still selected, I'm going to click this button here to turn off the text box. And let's adjust the colours. I'm actually going to take the same colours from the peak meter. If you want to display a little value pop-up when you move the slider, you can select that in here, Show Value Pop-up, set that to the position you want the pop-up to appear. So if we wanted it above, we can do that. Okay, now we need to set the range of the attack slider. If we go over to the envelopes, and I'll just open this simple envelope here, we can see the attack knob has a range of 0 to 20,000. So to apply that to our slider, we'd come over here and we could enter the values here, 0 to 20,000, but we would want this knob to represent time in milliseconds, so we can shortcut that by selecting it from this menu here where it says Mode. If we just choose this one, Time, it's automatically going to default to a range of 0 to 20,000, and we could adjust that if we didn't want it to be the full range. So this slider will now have that range. And we could connect this slider to the envelope in the same way we connected the reverb button to the reverb. So we'd use processor ID to select the envelope, and again it really helps that we've named them sensibly, so we can connect to sampler 1's gain envelope, and for the parameter ID we could select attack. And again I'm just going to hit compile in the script to make sure that is applied. So now if we open that envelope, we can see that this slider is connected. Now the only problem with this method is that it's a one-to-one connection, so we can connect one thing on our interface to one module in our module tree using the processor ID and parameter ID. But we have three envelopes that we want to control, so we can't do it using this method. It's not going to work. So this is only good if you are just connecting to a single module. So let's undo this. In the processor ID list, I'm just going to select this blank space at the top, and that clears out that assignment. So because we're not doing any scripting, we're going to have to make a compromise. And the compromise is we are not going to be able to have our slider show the range of 0 to 20,000. Instead, we're going to have to change the range to one that is controlled by a macro, and a macro is something we can connect to multiple parameters. But if we were using scripting, we could just connect this slider up to all three of them, no problem. But since this is a no scripting series, we're going to have to use the macro system and make a little compromise. So I'm going to edit the attack sliders mode. Again, I'm going to change it back to linear, and macros have a range of 0 to 127. So just like a continuous controller, a mod wheel for example, we have a limited range. So we'll set that to 0 to 127. We're going to change the step size to 1. So step size is the size of the increments that the values will move. And I'm going to change the middle position to 64. And I'll set the default value up here to 20. So the default value is the value that the slider will be set to when we double click it. And because we're not using the true attack value, I'm going to turn off this value pop-up so we're not displaying the value to the user, because for attack, 0 to 127 doesn't really mean anything to the user. Okay, and once again I'm going to click compile just to make sure that setting has taken effect. So we now have a slider that goes from 0 to 127, and we want to connect it up to the attack time of all of our envelopes. So to do that, we're going to use macros, and we access the macros through this button here at the top, and we have 8 macros to choose from. So we're going to go with macro 1. I'm going to open the first envelope, and then I'm going to open the second. Now if I just click on this, the first one will close. So to open more than one, we have to hold Control on our keyboard, that's Command on a Mac, and then click and it will open without closing the others. Okay, I'm going to click this Edit button next to Macro 1. So now Macro 1 is enabled for assigning to controls, and then I'm going to click on the attack time of each of our envelopes. And then I'm going to disable the edit mode for the macro. Now if I move the macros knob, we can see the attack time of all three envelopes changes together. And you can see this knob only has a range of 0 to 127. Let's rename our macro, so I'm just double clicking there, and I'm going to call it attack. And while we're here, we'll connect macro 2 to the release time of each envelope. And we'll name it release. Now we just need to connect the slider to the macro. So we'll go over to the property editor again, and it's this one we want, macro control. We're going to set this to macro 1. And again, hit compile. And now moving our slider should move this macro. Perfect. And that should control the attack time. Now I want to duplicate this slider to create the release slider. I'm going to go to File and I'm going to select Edit Shortcuts. And here you can see a whole bunch of keyboard shortcuts that are available in HISE, and you can customize them. The one I'm interested in is in the Interface Designer section, and it's this one here, Duplicate Selection at Cursor, and that's set to Ctrl D. If I wanted to customize it, I'd click the plus button, I'd hit a new keyboard shortcut, I'm just going to use the same one, Ctrl and D, and then I'm going to click OK. So now I can select that component, I can press Ctrl D, and it is duplicated. Let's rename it to KNB Release. And we're going to connect it to Macro 2. Because we duplicated it, it has all the same properties as the attack slider. Okay, let's check that that's working. Yes, it is. But if we double click it, the default value isn't good, it goes to 7 milliseconds. I'd prefer a value a little higher, maybe 250. Let's see, 248. Let's see where that is on the macro. So that's a value of 46, so let's change the default value for this one to 46. And hit compile. Let's test it. Yeah, that works. And for the attack, 7 milliseconds, that's a good default for the attack. Let's finish off by adding some labels for our attack and release sliders. So I'll unlock the canvas, and I'm going to right click and select Add New Label. So in HISE, the label has two purposes. It can be used to just display a label, which is what we're going to use it for, but it can also be used as an input box for the user to provide some text to us so they can type in there. And the way the mode is toggled is through this option here, Editable. And by default it's on, so if I turn off editing here and click on the label, I can actually type in here. And we don't want that, so we're going to turn off the editable option. So now when I click on it, I can't type in it. So I'm going to rename this control. I'm going to call it LBL for label attack. And I'm going to drag it up in the component list just below the attack slider. So here again you can see why the prefix is useful, because we have two controls called attack, but they are different types of controls and they have different purposes, and the prefix makes it really clear what they are. I know that this one, KNB attack, is a knob or a slider, so I know its purpose. And I know that this one is a label. And all components must have unique names, but sometimes you have two that are related, like in this case, these two components are related, but they have different purposes and they're of different types. So we're avoiding name clashes here, and we're also indicating their type by using these prefixes. Okay, let's change the text to just attack. And I'm going to change the text color. I'm going to change the font size, let's try 24. Maybe a little large. Let's try 20. And I'm going to leave the font on Arial, but you can choose a different one if you prefer. Let's just resize this a little bit. And we'll position it down here. I want it in line with the preset browser. I'm going to bring it along there, sort of central with the slider. And I'm just going to move both sliders up a little bit. So I've selected two controls here, and to do that I just hold Control on my keyboard and click the second one. You can also hold Shift to select a range of controls, and you can hold Control and click to remove individual controls from the selection or to add additional ones. You can also multi-select on the canvas itself. When the canvas is unlocked, just drag a box around the components, and then you can move them around or make any changes you want. And the property editor is really nice because it will only show properties that are shared by all of the selected components. Now I think the label is slightly overlapping the attack slider, so I'm just going to move the sliders up even more. And yeah, that's better. If we select both of them, we can see where the green boxes are. Sometimes what I find is nice, especially when we have these boxes around, it's hard to see where exactly we're positioning controls. So what I do is I click this button here to open the interface preview. So this is what the user is going to see in the final plugin. And using my cursor keys, I can nudge the selected component around and see it update in real time in the preview without the green border and the box around it. So sometimes I find that just makes it a little clearer what changes I'm making. Okay, let's duplicate the label using Ctrl-D. And we're going to rename this one, and you already know what I'm going to call it. LBL Release. We'll click OK. We'll change the text. And I just want to make sure the Y position is the same as it is for the attack label. So for the attack label it's 281. Oh, I don't like that. Let's change it to 280. I like a nice round number there. And we'll do the same for the release. Let's see if it's central. Nudge it a little bit. Yeah, that looks good to me. I'm just eyeballing it. If I was using scripting, I could position it more accurately, but I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's save the XML. Okay, and that's the interface built. So we've learned a little bit about how to add controls, move them around, rename them, delete them. We've learned about the component list and reordering things to change the Z index. We've looked at editing various properties of the different components and how to connect them up to modules using the processor ID, parameter ID, and the macro system. For more advanced connections, you really do have to get into scripting. It isn't complicated, so I do urge you to look into scripting when you feel confident enough to do so. And even if you're a non-programmer, the basics of scripting are pretty easy to get a hold of. And things like connecting components to modules is a pretty easy thing to do. It just has a little learning curve. But if you've followed me this far, I'm sure you can handle it. Okay, so head over to the next video where we're going to talk about the preset system, and we're going to use presets to be able to switch between the output of our 3 different samplers so we can just hear one articulation at a time. Alright, I'll see you there.